I tell people, like anybody that hears the album that's heard my prior works, it's like a comeback would be great, but I think what I did was I came back with my face shown. I'm different, like I'm better. I'm like a whole completely different level because of the time that I spent away and the divine interactions that I had with God in that time.
Hey everybody, Samantha Chatman here from Mama I Made It. We have such a special guest here today. I feel like this has been a long time in the making. I have interviewed him on the news side many times, but today, I'm still a journalist, but I get to interview him as a friend today.
Yeah.
The very one and only Chance the Rapper.
Thank you, Sam. What
Oh
an
my
introduction.
goodness. Thank you for having us here at HOK, the House of
the
Kicks.
House of Kicks, yeah.
Yes, we love you, Chance.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
so proud of you. We have seen your elevation over the years. It's been swift.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in your 30s, your early 30s. So, I mean, just everything that you've been able to accomplish
Thanks, man.
at 32 is incredible.
Yeah. So it's a blessing. I'm blessed to I feel like a lot of people because we got a lot of the same friends, like we really from Chicago. And I think a lot of us from our generation and I'd say a few years older than us, a few years younger than us, a lot of us have gone out into our individual industries and accomplished a lot to be our age, and we all still stay close.
We stay close to home.
Yeah.
And you know my family, Chance.
Yeah, of course.
You are close with my cousin Eddie. You've been in my grandmama's
Yeah.
house. You have been around. So, you just the connection there, that Chicago connection. Chicago is the third largest city, but when it comes to the Black community, it's small.
It's a small town.
It's small.
Facts. Everybody
Yes.
knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. We had a funny moment because when I was at the Bud, you were congratulating me on my engagement. I'm like, who did I get engaged to?
No, that's just how Chicago rumors go. They're like, no, Sam getting married. Everybody's like, what?
What? Well, listen, I want to be married one day.
Yeah.
So we'll put that out into the universe and manifest it.
Figure it out.
But I was like, because he thought this was my ring. I was like, well.
It was moving fast, and I was
I'm
like, oh yeah,
I hope that,
congratulations.
to be married will be a blessing, but I do hope that it will be a little bit
You
bigger
deserve-
than
yeah,
this
way
week. Just a
bigger
little
than
bit.
that, for
That was funny. But speaking of manifesting, Starline,
Oh, thanks, man.
Grammy-award winning Starline.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, man.
We're claiming it. We're putting it into
Yeah.
the universe. Let's just start there.
Facts.
Starline is an incredible album. And I'm not just saying, first of all, I have a musical background myself. I was trained by Lena McLin,
Yeah.
who is a music legend. God rest her soul. She birthed Shaka Khan and so many other artists from Chicago. So I know music. I have an ear.
Yeah.
And when I listen to Starline, it's so incredible. Track after track. I already told you my favorite one, the one that I work
Speed of
out to,
Light,
Speed
yeah.
of Life with BJ the Chicago Kid. That's my
Yeah, that's our
favorite.
beat.
I love the Chicago beat. It's just great. It gets me through my workout. Just so many different tracks. So many people wondering, 6 years since your last album, why did it take so long for us to get another piece of Chance the Rapper?
Yeah, I feel like that's a question that I have heard a lot, and I think it makes me feel great because it shows that that I was missed in my absence, and that people wanted to hear my voice and my views on things, and what it is that I add to the musical landscape. And I think the people that have heard it, a lot of them come and they're like, I see why it took this amount of time, because it is a very careful and a very precise and a very loud and very calculated project.
Very
And
intentional.
I don't take all the credit for it. It was a lot of people that I worked with, a lot of amazing samples that helped tell the story. So shout out to the estate of Richard Pryor. That's kind of the backdrop of the album is the movie Wattstax and his what he did for that movie. And so hearing his voice and all these other voices, even on The Speed of Light, that's Bobby Caldwell, and it's a famous Common sample. So it's like I'm pulling from a lot of people's nostalgias and memories, and it's just a lot of people that poured into the project to make it Starline.
Some people have called it a comeback album. Is that offensive to you? Do you love it? How do you feel about that?
It's not offensive to me. I think it's I think the project is so what it
It's
is.
so good.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is, and so everybody has a different perspective. There's some people that haven't heard any of my music prior to hearing Starline, and so for them, as an introduction, they love it for what it is. And I think that there's people that have heard me before that can hear, you know, parts of my style, that is so, fully just me that that it reminds them of an older time. But the content, the you know, my ability as a rapper and just all of it is so much more mature and formed that for me it doesn't feel as much of a comeback as it is like I think just a leveling up of myself. I think we all want to be better as we get older. In our crafts, we learn more and more, even if we know everything about the business in any industry, like there's still more to learn and things that change. And so, I feel like I've been telling everybody like one of the motifs of the album, one of the major motifs of the album is there's this use of like Moses and the story of Moses as like a reference point throughout the album. And so like there's a lot of parts of Moses' story that we know really well, him being a baby in the basket, him parting the seas, you know, him going and getting the commandments. And so those are all throughout the album. But one of my favorite stories of Moses that we don't talk about enough is like the story of Moses' face being shown. Do you know that so like there's this word in the Bible, shown, and Shone, and it's a way that they describe Moses after he comes back from the mountain one time talking to God. And what happened was because Moses had you know, this one-on-one with God, his face and his being, as you could see, was changed. He had this blinding glow that came off of him that literally blinded people. So they had to put like a veil over his face because his face was, as the Bible put it, shown. He had this divine, moment when he went on his, sabbatical, the highest sabbatical that you could go on. He was literally not face to face with God, but as close as you could get. And it changed him. And so when he came back, he was still Moses, but he was a different Moses. His face was shown. And so I tell people, like anybody that hears the album that's heard my prior works, it's like a comeback would be great, but I think what I did was I came back with my face shown. I'm different. Like I'm better. I'm like a whole completely different level because of the time that I spent away and the divine interactions that I had with God in that time.
So much to unpack there. There are a couple of things that you said. First of all, you said blinding glow, and it made me, I was looking at you. Your skin is beautiful.
Thanks, Sam.
Not that it
Yours
wasn't
is too.
before and prior, and I got makeup on, but your skin, I mean, you
Thanks,
look
Sam.
just so healthy and at peace. You look great. Talk to us about this journey of health and making sure that you're mentally, physically, spiritually ready for this next chapter because you've got a big tour coming up. You've got Grammy Award winning album in the making. Talk to me about that journey because you look so healthy. And again,
Thanks, man.
the skin, that's usually the first thing that you can tell when a person is living right and just being poured into and pouring into themselves. You look great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm blushing now. I feel like one of the biggest journeys in this past 6 years is like learning to love myself again. Because as a kid, I really always, and when I say a kid, I mean probably all the way up until I was like in my mid 20s, I really, really loved myself. Like, not maybe all parts of me, but like a significant portion, especially as a creative, like in what I consider to be my purpose. I had a great deal of respect for myself. And I think over time, anybody living in the public eye or just period, we go through moments of like not remembering who we are and why we love ourselves. And so I think like one of the things that's helped me because I still go through, emotional ups and downs. I still go through crazy things, but I love that I'm going through all of it with me. And by being with me, I'm also with God. You know what I'm saying? And I think like understanding that we're going to battle in any of these situations to be able to be grateful to God and all of the victories that we see on this road is like that's been the turning point for me. I think I'm able to glow because I can look in the mirror and be happy with who I am and like what I've accomplished and what I will accomplish in this journey.
I was talking to one of your pastors. This is probably about a year ago in
PC,
Chicago.
Pastor Charlie.
PC. I was talking to
Shout out
Pastor
Pastor
Charlie.
Charlie. Shout
Shout out
out
Pastor
Progressive
Charlie.
Baptist.
And I said, God is just through him.
Oh
He
man.
couldn't separate if he wanted to because God is in you. And you can hear that in the album. You can hear that in the way you talk. Where are you spiritually? Because I'm thinking about, for instance, the track Letters, which is
Yeah.
so deep, and I've
Yeah.
listened to that probably 5 times. Where are you spiritually right now?
Yeah. I think I'm always the strongest and in the right place when I'm with God and God does not leave me. And I think like what has been the biggest thing to reconcile is where we are as God's people in 2025. So the body of Christ, meaning everybody that is alive and our experiences, how much does it mirror what Christ want it to look like? Because he's the head. So what is his body doing? And there's, you know, you see it everywhere. You see it in Gaza. You see it in Congo. You see it in Chicago. We're not living the way that Christ wants the body to move, which is, you know, coagulated and towards him. And the letter, the song "Letters" has gotten so much love on social media and like and debate
It's
and in
become a
church. It's
think
like
piece.
yeah, and
People are dissecting it, which I feel like we got away from that. Like back in the day, we would look at the lyrics of songs and
yeah,
we would be debating them in the
yeah,
lunchroom.
yeah.
That's what we're doing with Letters.
Yeah, I think that's like what I wanted for the whole album. And especially with Letters, I want people to sit and look through because everything is very carefully chosen, as I was saying. Like, I think my vocal is an instrument, but what I realize in this time is that my instrument and what I can really improvise on and play the best is my wordplay. And so being very careful about what the message is, what the content is, what the references are, and each word that I'm using specifically, letter by letter, is intentionally there. It's like I think something that helps the listener.
So do you still believe in organized faith? Because forgive me if I don't want to mess up your lyrics, but
Yeah.
you say something right off the top in Letters.
Hmm.
I think you say, I'm writing this with a broken heart or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
along those lines. So for the listener, it may make us think or wonder if you are pulling away from the institution of church, not Christ, but
Yeah.
pulling away from. So I'm
That's
wondering
a
where
great
you
point
are.
to make. Yeah, not at all. I think the body is us whether we want to be or not. So there's no way that I would ever not be a part of the body of Christ. I'm a reflection of Christ's choice, his choice in us to give himself wholly so that we could, so that we could die to our sins and be with him is like a choice that he made for us. So there's no separation of me and the body. And what I'm talking about are some of the flaws in the body and ways that we can course correct. But there is a broken heart that's writing all of these letters because I am not just I'm more of a reflection of the body than I am of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it shouldn't be that way, but what's going on in the world is just fact, and it speaks to where we are as the body. And so I'm that first verse I think is really really focused on how I felt personally when my aunt passed. So Monty Curlin, who's my grandmother's oldest sister, was in a lot of ways the backbone to the church that I grew up in, my childhood church, and was always organizing around bringing more youth to the church. She ran the vacation Bible school. She ran the Sunday school. She was somebody that dedicated her body to the church. And as she got older, and wasn't able to fulfill certain roles within the space, those spaces didn't get picked up the way that they were supposed to. And and I mentioned in the verse that along with her passing away, we also it seemed like these other programs and things that are meant to build up the body of Christ also died. And so I have this broken heart where I feel like my aunt wasn't venerated in the way that she was supposed to be when she died. not just because she didn't have a huge funeral, which she did. A lot of people came out of the woodwork to come back to the church and for the first time in years to celebrate her. But that's not how she would have wanted to be celebrated. And I don't think that's necessarily how Christ would want her to be celebrated. He would want the works of the church to continue. And so that the whole song is kind of through grief. It's the first three verses all mention women, black women who died. My aunt in the first verse. The second verse mentions Sonia Massey, who was killed by the state, and there was really no visceral reaction from the church, whether we want to say the white church or the black church, in terms of organizing. And then the third verse mentions the four little girls that died in Birmingham, Alabama, as well as the people that were killed by Dylan Roof in the church. The fourth verse uh, is about all the bodies that people had to go back and retrieve. That's us being the body. It's when we go and check on others, when we honor and bury our dead without forgetting their loss. And so what it really is in all is it's anger, it's righteous anger, and it's a call to action. Like I think it has to be, that song has to be viewed through the lens of all the other songs that throughout the album that deal with organized faith and mob violence and where those intersect and what they look like throughout history. Not just the mob violence that killed Christ, but also the mob violence that lynched black folks through the Jim Crow era all the way through now. Um, and and how we react to that has to be from a lens of fervor and faith, because that's the movements that go, is when people believe that their liberation is intrinsically tied to their faith. Otherwise, it's a pacification.
That's deep. You you get very politically engaged in this album. You touched on Sonia Massey, and I picked up on that very quickly when you mentioned the boiling pot of water. God rest her soul. Legalization of marijuana. You talk about medical malpractice. Because for some artists, they may say, look, I'm coming back. I need bops. I need TikTok songs. And you do have some, quite a few. But some artists coming back may not want to dig that deep.
That's a great question. I think there's a couple reasons. I think one, that already exists. So like it's not like people necessarily need me to do someone else's job. Like that my purpose is my purpose. I think also like in terms of importance, like I feel like right now is it's like almost like Terminator. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like we're in a time where we can fix the future, but we have to be like honest, ready for action, ready for reaction, and like and just like and engaged. And I think other like it is cool to make bops. And I think even the bops on this album, as
They're
people dig through
bops.
them, they'll find out that everything is radical and everything has a meaning and everything is pointing at something. And so it's very like uh it's important to me that I speak on the now because music is documentation, music is press, whether people want to believe it or not. It's journalism. Like at the fall of empire, the most important people are the artists and the writers and the press people that can tell the story of what's happening and why it's happening, because that will be preserved.
Think
Like,
about Negro spirituals.
yeah,
These are messages
mm-hmm,
to get to the promised land. And we
facts.
still sing these same hymns, Wade in the Water. I mean, we still sing them to this day. So to your point, I can understand why you would say this is journalism, because it's etched in history
Facts.
and it's bringing you back to that time. And we still sing these songs.
They're actually tools for the future. So the way that I think about it is like we're all a part of the same movement. Like they try and like make it a historical, like in the past thing when we talk about the movement in the 60s or the movement during Reconstruction or the movement of the UNIA or the movement of the Panthers or whatever, like that these are like blips in time. But in reality, we're all still on that same ride. We're all still pushing forward. And the best thing that we can do is make a dent in the system, but also provide tools for the people that will eventually meet our future and have something to work off of. I think Negro spirituals and any protest music, James Brown, "Say It Loud and I'm Black, I'm Proud," like those were tools for us to get closer and closer to where we're supposed to be. And I wanted this album to be something that, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people can use towards liberation. And I think that it's perfectly, it's beautiful music first, because that's the most important thing. I think, like, I did grow up in poetry. I did grow up with, you know, impassioned elders that told me the importance of my words, and anytime I'm being platformed, to use them carefully. But also, music and feeling and a love of melody and rhythm is something that is just me. Like, that's intrinsically who I am. So when you first listen to music, it is supposed to be a bop. And every song on the album is a bop, but it's also like, it has to be that way because it takes a long time for people to sit with music and to memorize lyrics to the point that they actually start to break them down.
Going back to the Grammy that you're going to win for this
Yeah.
album, I want it for you. So many people at home want it for you. And I've been reading articles that this is going to happen. You have a Grammy already. So you are a Grammy award winning artist.
Yeah.
Even though we all want it for you and many people are already projecting this after listening to this incredible album, is it important to you? Because I know there's some artists like, oh, the awards are great, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm an Emmy Award winning journalist.
Yeah.
That means something
Yeah.
to me.
No, it means a lot.
And it's like a stamp. So
Yeah.
I'm curious where you are on that coin.
I'm like unapologetically asking for nomination. Like, I think that it's a lot of things. Like, one, I want to be, you know, amongst my peers and celebrated for the work that I put into this project. But also, like, the Grammys is the largest platform in music in terms of like being able to get out your message. Like, sometimes we imagine history differently than it went down, but like, there's a very big difference between Coloring Book when it came out and Coloring Book a year later after I won the Grammys, in terms of its visibility, in terms of how much people understood it or wanted to work with me, or
The funding, I'm sure that your nonprofit
Yeah,
got. Because, I mean, people, they like seeing these stamps of approval, whether people like it or not.
100%. I couldn't even, the whole thing that I did with CPS was only available to me because the governor of Illinois reached out after I won the Grammys to congratulate me. And I was able to ask him for a meeting in response to that tweet. And because it was so public and I had just won the Grammys, he had to say yes. And we were able to roll a lot of stuff into CPS because of that. So when I'm thinking about the album, I'm thinking of it in terms of like, okay, it's platform much this day. After I do this interview with Sam, it's gonna be platform this much
That's
this
right.
day, and this day and this day. And the Grammys is the top tier. That's gonna be broadcasted to the world. That's the world saying, we stamp this as something that came out and has to be listened to. And the Recording Academy of Arts and Sciences deemed this to be an important jewel in the music, like, landscape of the 2020s. You know what I mean? And I believe that, and I think there's people that believe that. And so, yeah, I'm out there campaigning.
Everybody's talking about it. I mean, I'm telling you, the Grammy buzz, when are the awards? Because the Grammy buzz, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that has to make you feel good.
It feels, yeah. So, I mean, I think anybody that appreciates my music, whether they're, whether they're a Grammy voting member or somebody who considers themselves not a big music listener, when people connect with my music and take the time to try and understand what it is that I'm talking about, like, that means the world to me. For them to appreciate it is an even higher level, and for them to say that I should be decorated or awarded for it is like, you can't ask for anything more.
Another thing I love about this album, and I used to complain about it to my friends all the time, these days tracks are too short for me. They're a minute 30 max. And I know that there's a science and a reason behind it when it comes to streams or all of that. But I appreciate songs with length.
Yeah.
It's like I can't even get into it until it's at about sometimes 1 minute for some songs. And then you cut it off. But with your album, I can really enjoy and settle into the song, and then I want to go back. I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
Is that because you're independent? So I'm guessing labels push that on artists. Is that one of the benefits of being independent? You can let your projects just breathe.
100%. I think anybody that when you're independent, like, and there's a lot of other artists that would attest to this, you have all the control in the world to say what you want to say, have it sound how you want to sound, present it how you want to. I think as an artist, one of the most important formative things for me in the 6 years it's been since I dropped a project was spending time around visual artists. So I spent a lot of time going to art fairs in Switzerland and in Venice, Italy, and in Miami, Florida, like all over the world, and spent time like with painters and sculptors and photographers, and learned a lot about context and scale when it comes to presenting artworks. And so an artist isn't just thinking about what kind of paint they're going to use or what color they're going to paint or what they're going to paint, but they're also thinking about the frame and the size of the canvas they're going to paint on. So when I think about songs and their length and the format of them, I'm thinking, do I want this to be a painting that you need to get really close to and sit and look at? Or do I want it to be something that's really large in scale that you have to listen to it a lot of times to look around and see all the details? But every part of me making a song now, especially with Starline, but just I think probably going forward, is I'm always thinking of them as paintings. Like, what does somebody see when they close their eyes and listen to this, or when they're running and listening to it or driving and listening to it? Like, what do they see? And I think one of the things that you were just mentioning, the length of it, like, that's giving you a bigger canvas and there's other ways to make the canvas bigger in my mind, but like, if it's a really short song, it's to me a smaller canvas and less time for somebody to look around and notice everything, but also it's still an easier replayability because, well, now it's short, so I got to just go back and listen to it again.
True. Talked about some of the drawbacks of being independent because this is like a family business. You're at the center of it. So I think I was watching one of your interviews and you said, I'm fighting for my life out here.
Yeah.
So do you still see it as a huge benefit to being independent? Because I know that there are some drawbacks to it. It's tough.
I think when I say that, I think it's like, it's really just in comparison to signing to a label or signing with a distributor or publishing company or whatever. I look at being an artist as intrinsically meaning being an independent artist, because you're an artist before you get signed. So from the jump, anybody that's a rapper or a singer, if you're not signed yet, you're still already an artist. The change to go into a major label system, I don't know what that's like from a personal experience. I just know what it's like from a lot of my friends being in the system and just seeing, documentaries and movies about how it works. Like, for me, though, my experience is that I think it's like running any small business and trying to scale up. There's going to be financial challenges. There's going to be bandwidth challenges. There's going to be, just competition in the market from people that are, tied to one system. So
Backed by these giants.
you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But like, also, I'm a giant.
You
So
are.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and I've been a giant since before I was famous. Like, you have to see yourself for who you are and your ability to impress upon the landscape. And so just by existing, we have an entire different way or means of getting music. Streaming was not a thing before I was, doing what I did. And this same thing goes for, I think a lot of artists sometimes forget how much it is about the music that they make, and the choices that they make that like decides where the industry goes. But I do want to say, like, yeah, it's like any small business or any business period that you start yourself and that you're funding yourself, there's going to be challenges, but you should just see them as a part of being yourself, not as like a choice of being independent or not. It's like, even if you're signed, you're going to have financial choices to make, artistic choices to make, business choices to make. Like, I think that's just a part of it. But you want to be at the center of the decision making. You want to be, you know, the the person charting your path and deciding when your album's coming out, and not having some random people that don't even know how to rap telling you how to do it.
Right. And to your point, being independent, it makes it that much more important to have an incredible team behind you.
Fact.
I'm looking at my line sister, Taryn,
Yes,
who's part of
yes,
your
soror.
management team, my soror. And obviously your parents, your mom and
Yeah,
dad, you keep them close.
yeah,
Talk to me about your relationship with both of them. The show is called Mama, I Made It, in part because me and my mom are so close. You have such a close connection with both of your parents. Talk about your Mama Main Tree, in part
yeah,
is an ode to your mother.
yeah,
Talk about your relationship with your mom and your dad.
yeah. I mean, I have great parents. Like, probably to me, the greatest parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom and dad, like, just really loved on me since I was a kid, told me how much they loved me every day since I can remember through today. And, my mom's up here like helping package up CDs today, and my dad too, you know what I'm saying? So like it's hard for it's I only really understand it. We're not no shot to anybody's parents, but when I see other people with their parents, I was like, oh damn, I'm lucky I got my mom and dad. But but yeah, my mother, I love to tell the story all the time. Like, she was a very popular, not just hairdresser, but she owned a salon in Hyde Park in her early 20s that she, put the money for together herself. Like, her friends worked out of the salon. And so a lot of times when I think about myself as an independent artist, like, I get that from my mom. And my mom being like, don't sign shit. You know what I'm saying? When I'm going to the meetings, and like, she's like, she just, my mom loved music. She loved working for herself. She was, a real estate agent for a long time, and just like did things that were like always about like organizing her own business. So I thank my mom for that. My dad's always been like, you know, uh, super like stressing the importance of discipline, obedience, like being, you know, loving your work and what he would call moving furniture. Not like fighting moving furniture, but he would call like in reference to our chores, like he'd be like, you got to move the couch. Like, me and my brother used to hate moving the couch when we had to
That's
do our.
such a random thing to hate.
No, I
Not
just hate.
taking the trash out,
I
not
hate.
doing the dishes. You all used to hate moving the couch.
My dad was Joe Jackson, first of all. So let's add
Your dad was
context.
not Joe Jackson. When I meet him, he's so warm.
Yeah, because he's old now. When I was a kid, like, we had hella chores, but one of the things was like he would wake us up in the middle of the night to be like, I moved the couch and put my finger across the board, and you didn't move the couch. You know what I'm saying? And then you do that with a bunch of different stuff, but like that was the metaphor past us having chores, that it's like you have to be thorough in all the jobs that you do. Like, if you are mopping the floor, mop the floor like you love mopping the floor. If you're washing your car, wash your car like you love washing your car. Like, all the details and small parts of it is how you build up your home. And so when it comes to writing, even, I'm thinking about like, all right, I wrote this line. Okay, how do I make it more clever? Okay, now that it's clever, how do I make the last two words rhyme better? What are all the synonyms that I know that rhyme or that I can change the rhyme word to? Okay, now that I got that, what words suck in this bar? Like, why am I saying the? Why not say my? Why am I saying, anything? It's like so many, I could get super granular or molecular with it, but it's like, you have to move the furniture is the point that my dad taught me. And so like to this day, my parents, like, I'm still their baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man in the center of a lot of ecosystems. But like, people don't even realize how much just my mom being able to help me take care of my kids is the reason why the world even gets to get me as much as they get me. You know what I mean?
Your parents have been married for decades now. I was talking to one of my male friends. He is one of your biggest fans, by the way. I won't say his name because I don't want him to be shy or embarrassed.
Dox him like
He's
that.
not ashamed or embarrassed about. I don't know if he would like me calling him fanboy because we say fangirl, but yeah,
He'd be supportive.
yeah, he's support. He might have a little bromance with you. Like, I
Right.
mean, every show, he's taking a picture. He loves you. He loves you. He's going through a divorce right now. His parents are married. And he said, I asked him because again, he's your biggest fan. I said, "What do you want me to ask Chance?" He said, I need him to help me through what life is like when you're going through or post divorce because people don't understand these are two totally different lifestyles. I now have to see myself outside of that marriage because it was so much a part of my life for so
Yeah.
long, and I'm kind of in a weird, I won't say identity crisis, but I'm trying to
No,
understand who
totally.
I am during this divorce and who I will be on the other side of the divorce. Did you go through that identity struggle?
Totally. There's a song on that album called Pretty, where in the second verse, it's probably the most like it's the deepest I get in terms of like vulnerability of myself. There's a line where I say, I need a doctor to come and bring me my meds because there's some things wrong with some things in my head. Sometimes I think she was the love of my life. So when I'm alone, sometimes I think that I'm dead. It's not an actionable, like, you know, suicidal crisis as much as it's like a death of an identity. It's people that are, whether it's that you're in love or you're doing it for out of like, duty and responsibility or whatever your situation is, that when you get married, that becomes a big part of your identity. Um, and a big part of your way of life, how you live, how you wake up, how you're seen by people, way your train of thought works in
Because you
terms
were
of
like the
decision making.
poster child. You both were for Black
For sure.
love.
But also, like, even if I wasn't, that's my personal experience, which, you know, it's hard for me to separate from how I see things. But I have friends that have been married and divorced. Most of them are older than me. But like everybody, especially men, I feel like have a moment where they have to reassess who they are and how they're seen by their community. Forget about being famous. Just if you if you go through the whole process of dating somebody for however long it takes, and then the process of being engaged for however long it takes, and then you go through a marriage, you're perceived by your friends as Sam and blah blah blah. We're going to Sam and blah blah blah's house. We're, you know, we got the Christmas card from these people. They are one identity. Now there's a new identity that comes along once these two people are separating. And then also like, add in if you guys share friend groups or like, like if you have kids, there's all these other layers of like of our identities being tied to each other. So I think most people, and I'm sure he's going through it, go through a point of like trying to remember who they were before, work out who they're going to be after, and also like start to really understand how they see themselves in the mirror when they experience those moments of grief, because it is a loss. So there is grief that you're going to have to work through probably, I think, forever. Like that's just how grief works. It hits you at random times and you just have a moment of like, you know, dealing with that loss. And I think like back to what I was saying before, like you have to remind yourself to love yourself because you loved yourself before you were in that situation at some point in your life. And above all that, God loved you first before you were even here. That's why you're here. So I think when you're going through it, you have to allow yourself those moments of grief, of those moments of feeling the loss, because it is a loss. But then you also have to celebrate yourself as the remainder and the constant in your life. You will always be with you, and you have to love on yourself and let yourself love on you. You have to look at yourself and remind yourself who you are, and then you also get a chance to be like, I think once you pass that step, to be excited about who you're gonna be. And I'll say, I think like you get to be excited for who you are again as an individual, because so much of your identity, and I think this happens in relationships that aren't just marriage also. Once you start to tie your identity to another human being, for better or for worse, it's dependent on that relationship's status, whether you guys are happy together or like going through loss together or losing each other. And when you go back to being just yourself, you get to be happy for yourself, center yourself, and, and like I said, love on yourself.
There's so much on the internet about men and women and ninjas ain't shit and women ain't shit
Yeah.
and don't get married and, you know, Kevin Samuels, who passed away, God rest his soul, he ignited a lot of men when it comes to what does she bring to the table? And men need to be poured into more. I'm curious, what do you make of some of the gender wars that are going on online? And do you still think that marriage should be something that we should aspire to?
All great questions. um, I think the gender wars thing is like some CIA shit. Like, I don't believe like some of those things, the way that they get blasted out and get tens of thousands of retweets. Like, I don't believe that all of that is real. I think that's like pushing division on us. The people that I know in real life love women. The men that I know that love women and want to protect them, especially the ones that be in my spaces, and want to join up to create more wealth and community and space. Because that's like, especially speaking for us, like I think that's like our center of power is being in community and committed relationships amongst each other and creating, coalitions around that and being able to organize around the fact that we're strong families. I don't think that there's any specific recipe for everybody to just follow. Some people will never get married. Some people will never have kids. Some people will be perfectly happy and living in their purpose doing that. But I think, like, to me, the institution of marriage is extremely important. And I think the strongest thing you could do is find somebody that you love and spend time with them and pour into them, whether you're a man or a woman, and pour into them and let them pour into you so that you guys can grow and live in your purpose. Like, it is much easier doing the things that you're meant to do when you have people that truly love you, that want to see you succeed in that. And there's no better person than like a loving partner for that.
I want to go way back. So, pre marriage, pre Chance the Rapper. When did you feel like, okay, I've made it? Celebrities have this moment of their big break. When was your big break?
It's so funny. I'm glad that you said it like that because there are so many different moments in your life where you feel like this is my moment. Like, now I know it's up. But when I got off stage one time, and I was walking through the halls, and there's a lady named Miss Patterson who was like, "Oh, what did she say?" She said, "Oh, if it isn't Mr. Famous."
And this is at Jones College Prep?
This is in third grade at
Oh,
Mark T. Skinner School.
what?
After I did the talent show, I did.
Mr. Famous at third grade.
Yeah, I did You Rock My World. I did so good. Here's what happened. I was at Skinner. They used to have a talent show. And it was broken down between kindergarten to third grade and then fourth grade to eighth grade, two different talent shows in the same day. I signed up. Everybody knew that I could dance. Did a Michael Jackson, Rock My World performance. No vocals, just straight dancing. Got a Go Chancellor chant going in there. Won the talent show. This is all before 12 noon. And then later in the day, there's the second talent show, the fourth through eighth. And I got called out of my classroom to come and perform in the eighth grade talent show. And did my same dance again, got some more chants. And when I was coming back, that's when my third grade teacher called me famous. And I remember the feeling just of like, I've made it. Like the whole school knows my talent and appreciates it. And I think I've had a bunch of moments since then that all feel just as great. But my earliest and most fulfilling moment I remember was when she called me famous.
When did your parents take your artistry seriously? Did your parents always back you? Because for most of us, we both grew up products of CPS,
Yeah.
kindergarten through 12.
Right.
And for me, it was college, 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 college.
Yeah.
That wasn't your story. At what point? Well, let me not assume. Was college pushed for you?
Yeah.
And at what point did your parents say, "All right, we might need to pivot because our son is good"?
Yeah. Neither one of my parents finished college. My mom did go to beauty school before she opened her salon. But it was important to them and to I think our families. Like I think that's the thing in Black families. Like you want people to go to college and graduate, and, like be successful. Um, and so that was something that they wanted. And I went to Jones, which is a college preparatory school,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the grades really to go to any of the schools. So I went to Harold Washington for college. I went to community college. I only went for a day.
A day.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just saw no disrespect, respect. But basically, I think what it was is my parents valued my individual character. Like I think that they understood that I was different, that that I had certain interests. My mom definitely I remember when I was a little kid, she took me one day to like go get headshots. Like my mom wanted me to be in commercials and stuff. I never made it to any, but like my mom did like, I don't know, say I was special and shit like that. But like I feel like when my dad took it serious was after my friend Rob was killed. He picked me up from the hospital that day and was like, "I'm gonna give you, the summer basically to do what you said you were gonna do. You said you were gonna make this 10-day mixtape. You know what I'm saying? Like, because my friend Rob was a rapper, and my dad knew that I was not going to school anymore, and that I used to, stay with friends and stuff. At this point, I'm 18 and finished with high school, so I wasn't staying at home anymore. And I mean, my dad butted heads a lot about the fact that I didn't go to school and didn't have no money for rent and shit. So like, I was kind of couch kicking it. My friend Rod died. That was the first time I talked to my dad in a while. He came pick me up from the hospital, and then he had this conversation with me just about, you know, him wanting to be in my life and wanting to be supportive of me and wanting to like, you know, help me see it through. And over the next like, month and a half, maybe 2 months, I went on a vicious campaign of going to high schools with CDs. I finished 10-day in like a matter of weeks. I did like my first listening party at Leaders, and then another listening party at Juggernaut, and then eventually did um, Reggie's Rock Club and Lincoln Hall, and really just went full force with it. And so I would say my mom always knew that this was what I was going to be doing, and I think she wanted me to go to college just because that's what good parents tell their kids. And I think my dad always knew that that's what I wanted to do. But once we were aligned on that was when everything clicked.
Going back to that, violent situation that happened, I'm thinking about things that are going on in our nation now. President Donald Trump has kind of gone back and forth about bringing the National Guard to Chicago, not bringing the National Guard. There are some artists, there are some high figures in Chicago and beyond who say, even though homicides are down, this could help. It couldn't hurt. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm never for bringing militarized police forces into a city to, you know, uh, combat its citizens. Like we have a police force here already. A lot of people would say we're over policed. Um, the truth of it is like a lot of this stuff is political posturing. A lot of it is racism, flat out. And the president, the governor of Illinois, and the mayor of Chicago all have, you know, their they have their relationship and the things that they talk about. What I know is historically, Chicago is a city that uh, reacts to oppression or to silencing with mass demonstrations and a lot of times burning and rioting. And we don't want to see that in Chicago because of the fact that black folks and brown folks are the ones that have to live in the aftermath and fallout of that burning and rioting. The West Side is still fucked up from the King riots. So we don't want to add more presence of military, like the 75 Democratic National Convention, after King got killed. There's a bunch of different situations where Chicago has brought in outside military forces to deal with the people of the city, and it never turns out good for any sides involved. And so every time I even hear that, it makes me sick and it makes me think it's intentional. But I think like what we need is investment and intervention, and those things work hand in hand. Like the more intervention we have, the more investment we'll get. And obviously, the more investment we get, the more intervention we can have. But like de escalation is what I'm always a part of. And I could speak on Chicago always because I really be here and I really have programming all over the city, especially on the South and West sides. And I'm always at the park and I'm always at the function and I'm always in the streets. So, like, yes, we definitely need help. Do we need people with bombs and tear gas and automatic weapons and tanks to meet the people here? No, because that's only going to escalate things. There'll be more deaths and there'll be more reaction. We're the people, so we need investment, and we need that investment to go towards intervention and community policing, not definitely not the federal National Guard. We don't need none of that shit in here. Like ICE is also here causing real issues and real fear. And I think like we just need to like I think anybody that's under the sound of my voice, even if they work for the state, I think people need to recognize their own humanity and what humanity needs from them, and also see the humanity in others so that we can like actually progress to the next step.
Before we go, you do live in Chicago. You're out all the time, fairly accessible. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because I have family who knows you, and so I
Yeah.
know where you be sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, do you ever worry about being too accessible in Chicago? Because fans, they can, I mean, if you're at a club, they can't just run up to you. Let me not advertise that. But you are very approachable. Some artists are more standoffish, they have more boundaries, they're more guarded. Have you ever thought, maybe it's time to cut it off a bit and not go to these places because you are so Chicago chance?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my strength comes from that. Like the fact that I know people everywhere and I can always, like, the way that I see it is I'm living life with everybody else here. And I see, I get to see people and pour into people and love on the people that I grew up with. I get to, impact and impart on people that I'm just meeting for the first time in Chicago. And I don't ever feel like in danger because I think about it. I don't think about it as like I'm in here by myself with all these people. Like I know somebody everywhere. Like if you ever see me outside, I am never by myself. Like
Never.
there's a lot of people, even if I didn't come there with them, that are with me. And so I don't ever feel, in harm's way. If I do, I be getting up out. Like I know how to move in Chicago too. Like I don't be just oafing. Like I'm not gonna just sit around. But like I think that's what keeps everything going is people know me, they can see me, they can, interact with me, they can come to different programming that I have, and whether it's after school or vacation Bible school or, you know, things that we do at the park or whatever, like people can be a part of what I have going on and they know that it's ultimately for the benefit of their community and their kids.
You have a younger fan base. You have a mature fan base too. But I'm always marveled by the fact that you are still able to capture a young audience and they are locked in with you. That's something that many artists cannot do. What is the secret behind that?
That's a good question. I think the part of it is that I see myself as a kid. Like I don't I'm obviously a grown ass man, but like I also think about when I'm making music, like the joy that I had when I was a child making music, I still love it in that way. I'm still trying to explore ideas from an open and learning experience as opposed to like trying to tell everybody like this is, like I'm teaching you as opposed to being like, oh, this is something that I know. Like, what do y'all think about this? And I think the main thing is like, I'm honestly myself, which anybody of any age can like feel and relate to, especially younger folks. And I think it's by design. I think well, I've said it before, but like my biggest foundation in becoming a rapper or learning that I was already a rapper was this mentor I had growing up, Mike Hawkins, or we called him Brother Mike. Brother Mike was like the first person to tell me that I was already an artist. So stop thinking that I'm gonna grow up and stop saying I want to grow up and be an artist. I'm already an artist. So what are you building in your catalog? How are you getting better at performing? How are you building a network of fans and other artists to work with? So he imparted that on all of us when we were kids. Vic, No Name, Mick Jenkins, Saba, John Doe, Lucky. Like there's so many people. I never name everybody, but we all were in these after school programs, and Brother Mike was like very, very on that, and also stressed the importance of mentorship and told us that at some point we were going to have to be the him of that space and of Chicago. And so I think I'm always trying to work with the kids and pour into the kids because I recognize that in the future, they're going to have to use the tools that I supplied them with to either build or destroy.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
So, big concert in Chicago, October 10th.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. All the AKAs gonna be there.
Yeah.
I know AKA is your favorite sorority, right?
It is. Ooh, I just had to restrain myself. But I love the AKAs.
You love the AKAs.
I do. I love
and we
my
love
pink
all
and
of the
greens.
Divine Nine, let me be clear.
Yeah,
but I know,
course.
I'm looking at Terrence.
Yeah.
So
Shout out
we're
to the SG Rose.
Shout out to the
I just
SG
gotta shout them
Rose.
out.
There
And
we
the
go.
Deltas. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Everybody.
Shout out
That's
to everybody,
right.
but the AKAs is my favorite. We pink and green. And yeah, my show is October 10th at North
October
Delia
10th,
Island. Get your
yes.
tickets now at my website at chancestuff.com.
I don't want to manifest too much, but we're manifesting the Grammys for sure.
Yeah.
We're locking in on that.
Yeah.
I feel like more in cinematography and film and movies.
Yeah.
I can't remember who. I interviewed someone on the news side in the film industry, and they said Chance is up next. And I'm like, it's killing me that I can't remember who. And it was a
That's
big,
beautiful.
it was a big, they said Chance is up next in this industry. So y'all heard it.
so.
Y'all heard it solidified here first.
Amen.
We're-
Touch and agree.
Yes, we touching and agreeing. So look, we want to focus on Starline, but that's something that we all should.
I definitely will. I think that is my next step. And who I was talking to, who's in the industry, I hope that's who said it. Was Kiki Palmer? Was it Kiki?
I did interview Kiki this time last year, but
Kiki's the one that is like, you just know she is like we have a future in Chicago in terms of like film and everything, because Kiki is like, she's my age, but we're at an age where we're now you know what I'm saying, young adults though of this joint.
Yeah.
And like she's killing it. She's got some movies. I'm not gonna be doing her press for her, but just saying like me and her were having a really good conversation about film and just like everything behind the camera, producing everything, and like, yeah, she was inspiring me the other day. I definitely need to get more into my film bag. I'm gonna shoot some more videos for this.
There we go.
Me and Spike Lee just met up the other day to talk
Oh.
about a video for I might as well say it, for No More Old Men.
Oh.
And shooting in New
Powerful.
York. And yeah, so once I get these videos out the way, I'll probably script something. Or just go act. That's easier. That's what people really want to see me do, is just go act in something. So I'll go act.
You could do both.
Yeah.
But let us know about No More Old Men, because we want the exclusive on that. That's
For
gonna
sure.
be genius.
That would be awesome.
Yep. Well, Chance the Rapper, anyone? Mama, I made it. Did you
Mama,
make it, Chance?
Mama, I made it!
Yes.
Yo, thank you, Sam.
Go like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Until next time, Mama, I made it.